may have heard that I left Matt's Off-Road Recovery, and you may be wondering why on earth would I do that. To understand why I left, it's helpful to understand how I got here. So I'm going to start at the very beginning. Matt and I met in Washington, Illinois in 1995. We were both serving missions for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and in our downtime, he would tell me stories about growing up in Henryville, Utah, working on the farm, building Corvairs, working on trucks. I credit a lot of my love for off-roading, working on trucks, and fabrication and welding to those long conversations that we had in the mission field. After our missions, we both returned home, and we always stayed in touch, but it seems like life happened fast. We both got married, we started having kids. I would stop in to see Matt every time I was passing through. It seems like he was always into something crazy. He was doing derbies, building Corvairs, making buggies that he drove around in the sand dunes. Matt went into roofing, and then he bought winter towing. Winter towing was a lot of fun because he always had these junk vehicles at his yard, so I would scrounge through them for parts. The axle that went into the Bombi is actually something that I took out of a truck from his yard, took it with me to Idaho, never used it on a project, brought it back with me down here, and then we chopped it up and put it in the Bombi. I got into welding, and I used that to pay for my schooling. I finished a bachelor's degree in physics, and then I did a master's degree in nuclear engineering. My family kept moving north. We went from Salt Lake City to Layton, Utah, and then eventually to Idaho Falls. I worked at Idaho National Laboratory for 16 years. During that time, I talked with Matt a lot. He would always call me with crazy ideas and things that he wanted to work on. Me, Matt, and Johnny Boy all worked on a project once for a Baja 1000 vehicle that we wanted to build. We named it Sweet Caroline. I wouldn't say it even got halfway finished before it was abandoned because none of us had any money. But we had a lot of fun working on that, and I hope that Matt will finish a Baja 1000 vehicle someday. That Corvair concept, I think, is really cool. So I had always been into 4x4s and trucks and everything off-roading, and when Matt started doing off-road recoveries, that really interested me. I thought the Banana was one of the coolest builds, and it just kept getting better and better with every iteration and upgrade that Matt did. So Matt's towing business eventually evolved into off-road recoveries, and then it evolved into YouTube, and that was something that really caught my attention. I think the first job I ever did with him was when my family was down here for Thanksgiving. He called me up and said, "Hey, I got a job right now. You want to come with me?" And so we all jumped in with him and we did the 1,000-foot cliff job. I think we were using the Bombi and the Tangerine. We had a great time on that job and I was hooked after that. What he was doing was so cool. I had never gone off-roading and done that kind of technical rock crawling before, and I loved it. Later, Matt invited me to go help with the recovery of the Golden Nugget. That was such an epic job. We had a great time. Everybody just got along good. Everybody worked like crazy. I got invited to be the chef because he needed somebody to feed all these people he was bringing. I started helping Matt with his projects when he was somewhere in the middle of the Morvare. He would call me up and we would talk for hours about suspension ideas, how he was going to install his engine, how he could turn this rear engine Corvair into a monster rock crawling recovery vehicle. As we all know, that vehicle turned out to be incredible and it's done hundreds of recoveries. I got involved with the building of the world's largest off-road wrecker from the very beginning. Matt and I spent a lot of time on the phone brainstorming about how that vehicle would work. I told him that I had a bunch of steel up there in Idaho that we could use for the frame. I dug that steel out of the snow in the middle of an Idaho winter and I hauled it down with me. I don't think we realized then what a huge project that was going to be, but it ended up being so much fun. The Wrecker's an incredible vehicle and I was thrilled to be a part of that build. As the Wrecker build started to pick up, that's when Matt invited me to move down here and work with him full time on building some of these amazing projects. At first that sounded like a crazy idea. I couldn't just move away, but as Angela and I thought about it, we were really at a point in our life where we could. My two oldest kids had moved out and gone to college, and Bridger was a junior in high school. He wasn't super excited about moving to southern Utah, but he was willing, and he was a huge help because we had a ton of stuff that we had to pack up or sell and move down here. Thanks, Bridger. As much as I have loved fabricating these amazing vehicles with Matt, I have also totally loved their recoveries. We have done recoveries in every kind of terrain imaginable. Snow, rocks, mud, sand, water, everything. And I have learned a lot while working here. So with all of the fun and excitement of working at Matt's Off-Road Recovery, you're still probably wondering, why would I leave this dream job to do something else? So here's the answer. I love working in the shop. I love fabrication. I love welding. I love cutting. I love machining. I love working on my projects. Matt's projects have been amazing, but I have all of these projects of my own, all of my own ideas that I want to get working on. And I need time to do that. It's just impossible for me to work all week in Matt's off-road recovery and then try to do all of these projects on the nights and weekends. Let me show you some of the stuff that I got going on. One of those projects that I'm excited to work on is this XJ right here. You might have seen the video where I just put the head back together. So this thing is a runner now, it's driving, and I want to keep this thing a driver the whole time I'm working on it. I know that often when you're building an off-road rig, you kind of do upgrades a little bit at a time. You don't tear the whole thing apart. That's what I want to do with this. Right now it's running on 31-inch tires. It probably needs a little bit of suspension upgrade. I've got to fix the death wobble going on down here on the front end. All these door and window seals need to be replaced. And there's a little bit of rust on this thing I have to take care of. I need to clean some things up on the interior. I need to replace the leaky radiator core. I have a feeling there's some rust under this carpet where all that fluid was leaking down. The steering wheel needs to get swapped out. I'm gonna do some bumper upgrades. I'll probably put a winch on the front of this. Maybe I'll even do a light bar or something on the roof. I don't know. So you can see there's a lot of work to do here, but this isn't my main project. My truck Dig Dug here is the project I am most excited about. You've seen this thing drive all over the place, but it still has a pretty stock suspension. I've got 3-inch lift springs on the front, and I've got a shackle flip in the rear, and that is about it on this truck. All the rust needs to get fixed. I need to get a grill. These doors need a whole bunch of work. I love this bench seat, but it sets me up to be offset from the steering wheel, so I'll probably end up with some buckets. The wood in the bed has to be replaced. Drivetrain in this is actually pretty solid. I have the same engine as the Morvair, but an LS3 would be really cool. I have a 4-speed automatic transmission that I rebuilt years ago, and it still seems to be running good. And I have an NP205 transfer case, which is also working, but a doubler would be amazing. Thought about putting a rack up on the roof with a whole bunch of lights on it, but I'm undecided on that. What do you think? Well, the XJ build is gonna be pretty stock. I wanna go all out on this build. I'm gonna go from 38 to 40-inch tires. I'm gonna do a 4-link suspension in the front and a trailing arm suspension in the rear. There'll be coilovers and bypass shocks on all 4 corners. The gas tank will get finished and moved up into the bed. There'll be rock sliders in the front, a full roll cage in the cab, and I'll finish out all the electrical and interior that's been left undone for so long. The axles will be upgraded to a Dana 60 in the front, a Dana 70 in the rear, with lockers on both ends. When I'm done, this will be a hardcore rock crawler and should look good enough to take to SEMA. There is no question that Dig Dug is my absolute favorite project of all time, and I've had a blast taking this thing out with Matt's Off-Road Recovery for the last year and a half. Let me show you some of the highlights. Here's another vehicle I'm working on. This is a 1979 Jeep Wagoneer, and this is an incredible build. It's actually owned by a good friend of mine, Trent Campbell, and he has helped me a ton with my channel, and so I want to do something to help him out. He needs a little work done on the steering to make this thing a more capable off-roader, so you'll be seeing this in a future video. As you can see, there is a ton of work to get done in this shop, and that's why I need to be here full time. The timing's really good for leaving Matt's off-road. We are done with the off-road games, we're not in the middle of a major build, and he has a whole bunch of awesome people working for him right now, and they need room to grow and to take on some bigger responsibilities. It's time for me to step out of there and into this full time. I want to answer some of the questions that have been coming in since we announced that I'm leaving Matt's Off-Road Recovery. One of the first ones is, am I going to miss it? And the answer is, of course, yeah, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss the amazing people that are there. I'm going to miss going on the recoveries. I'm going to miss the awesome builds. I'm going to miss fans coming into the shop all the time and getting to meet them. So many cool people. I'm even going to miss the dogs. Even Peanut, even though she ate my four-wheeler, I'm still gonna miss that dog. But the good news is I'm only 5 minutes away from their shop, so I'm gonna be back there often, so I will see all these people regularly. Several people have asked what will happen to Miss Sally, and sadly the answer is she's gonna stay with Matt. I know, she should be here in my shop. I agree with you. I do have a drill press, but it's not the same. Okay, I've had a lot of concerned people asking me what will Matt do without my supervision. He's gonna be okay. He is actually old enough to be an adult, and he's got Jamie taking care of him. It's gonna be fine. Okay, another question I've got is, am I sad that I'm not gonna get to work in the new shop at Matt's Offroad? And the answer is yes. That new shop is gonna be amazing. I'm very, very sad about it. Thanks for bringing it up. But I am happy for them. They are gonna love that space. Can't wait to see what they make over there. Another question was, what is my favorite recovery from my time at Matt's Offroad Recovery? And I've been there like a year and a half, so I've probably done over 100 recoveries with Matt. I have to rule out the Golden Nugget because that was the greatest recovery of all time. That was amazing. But one of my other favorites was when the wrecker was brand new. We went and did this recovery on the Barracks Trail that was muddy, and we were going through deep water, and we had to pull out this Ford Explorer that was just buried down in this silty mud from a flash flood. And that was a great time. I rode in that Explorer as we took it out of there. We had to climb these super steep banks. The wrecker was slipping and spinning. It was really challenging, super fun. That was one of my favorite recoveries. I know there's gonna be a lot of rumors about why I left Matt's Offroad Recovery, and that's why I wanted you to hear straight from me the real reason. My relationship with Matt is great. You don't need to worry about that. Thank you for supporting my channel, and thanks for watching. Stupid claw hammers. Haha.